Hi there, friends. Before we get into this episode, I want to take a moment to address the June 24th Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. Now, this decision stripped away the legal right to a safe and legal abortion, and restricting access to comprehensive reproductive care, including abortion, threatens the health and independence of all Americans. This decision could also lead to the loss of other rights. To learn more what you can do to help, go to podvoices.help. I encourage you to speak up, take care, and spread the word. Hi there, friend. This is Timothy Chemo Bryan, your head instigator for Create Art Podcast, where I take my 20 plus years of experience in the arts and education world to help you tame your inner critic and create more than you consume. Now, have you ever been out in public or sitting at home, watching the television and suddenly, boom, inspiration strikes? You look to your left and you look to your right, and there's nothing to document your idea, and poof, it goes away. Frustrating, isn't that? You know, it was a great idea, and there's no way to bring that moment back. But what if you could be prepared for these moments of brilliance and be able to write them down or capture them? That would be great. But hold on. Does that mean I have to bring all my tools with me everywhere I go? Now it's going to be difficult because I used to be a tuba player in middle school and in high school. So, lugging a tuba around when I was younger wasn't possible. Now, today I'm going to help you realize that you have a way to record those ideas down and get them when you need to get to them and make sure you get to them. Today, I'm going to show you how to be ready when inspiration hits. So, I'd like to get us all on the same page. Let's look at Merriam Webster's definition of inspiration. Now, the definition of inspiration is to an inspiring act or influence, the ability or state of being inspired, something that is inspired, a scheme that was pure inspiration, the act of drawing in, specifically the drawing in of air into the lungs, a divine influence or action in a person believed to qualify them or him or her to receive and communicate sacred revelations, the action or power of having the intellect or emotions, and lastly, the act of influencing or suggesting opinions. Now, the reason why I bring the definition up is, again, I want us all on the same page, okay? I want us to understand what we're talking about when it comes to inspiration because this whole episode is going to be about, you know, being ready when it hits. So we got to figure out what is it. For me, I think you can achieve inspiration from just about any source and situation if you open yourself up to it. Now, we need to know again what we're talking about before we try to prepare for it for when it strikes. So, yes, I do think inspiration can be cultivated. I know, that's a controversial idea, but I do know that there are those that feel that, inspiration happens magically or under certain circumstances when you're inebriated or really emotional. And I used to buy into that thought process. I don't now, but I think inspiration is everywhere all the time if you're willing to open your eyes and ears and take notice. Now, once you experience that feeling, you know, you got to be able to decide if you want to share that moment in your life with others. So not only do we got to know what inspiration is, we not only have to be prepared to document that inspiration, we got to figure out, do we want to share it with others? And I say yes to all three. Yes, we definitely want to share it. Yes, we want to be prepared. Yes, we want to be able to recognize it. So, how do you go about doing that? Well, tools you can use for that. I am of an age when cell phones used to be about 2 pounds and they cost nearly $4,000. Now, right now, I'm using a Pixel 6 and it costs about, 500, $550 and it weighs about 7.3 ounces. Original cell phones, you couldn't do what your modern smartphone can do. And that's the first go-to in my arsenal. When I'm out and about, I turn on the camera function and snap a picture or take a video. If I've got an idea in my head, I just use the note-taking device and speak right into it. I don't even have to type it in there if I don't want to. And I get a transcript, that I can make into a task and get back to, that idea, at a later time. There's literally thousands upon thousands of apps you can get on your phone that you can make your phone do what you want it to do in order to record those bits of inspiration that you're going to find all over the place. Now, use it in the manner that you learn best. So, if you're an auditory person, record the sound. If you're a visual person, snap the picture. If you're a kinetic version, a lot of places have styluses and you can use a painting app to record down these ideas. Heck, you're listening to a podcast like this one, you can download it to your phone and share it with, one of your other apps and keep it for later when you have time to, do something with that idea. The smartphone is a great invention. And my recommendation is don't be a product for the social media apps on your phone. Make your phone a tool for your creativity. Big drawback is the phone, it runs out of batteries and many apps, they do need that internet access to function fully. Also, you're giving up a lot of your privacy by using the phone. And you need to make that determination for yourself how comfortable you are with that. If you're comfortable with it, rock it out. If not, well, I have other tools you can use. Now, another tool is a good old pen and writing utensil. I'm going to show you youngsters what that is. That's a pen right there. I prefer TUL pens. Oh, and guess what I have right here? Guess what I have? I got a notebook, piece of paper. Doesn't have batteries. Great. That's the thing with pens and papers. I used to use a steno notebook when I first started writing poetry. Why did I use a steno notebook? Well, because it was small, it was light, it had wire that held the pages together, and I could stick my big pen right in that little wire loop there, and I could hold it that way, and it was good to go. I wrote 600 poems that way. And I was usually out in public writing, and sometimes, a drink was spilled on the notebook, and or if I was sweating, as I usually do profusely, stained the notebook with my sweat. Gross, I know, right? I've used sketch pads with charcoal and pencils when I was in a sketch class during college. This worked out great in coffee shops, but not so great in bars because people always want to know what you're sketching, and then they go ahead and critique your work right there. And who needs that? I think the most versatile way to collect ideas, and I use it on occasion, is the good old pen and paper. Less now than because I have a laptop and a Chromebook, and that's very light and has many of the functions that my cell phone has. Issue is with my Chromebook, battery life and internet connectivity. Piece of paper, pen. I don't need to worry about internet connectivity or batteries. All I got to worry about is not sweating on the thing and not having a drink spill on the thing. Now, here's the thing. Whatever you choose to use, keep it unobtrusive. Remember, I was telling you earlier about, you go to the bar and you have your little notebook going on there, or you have your sketch pad. Well, people are naturally curious. And if they see you recording something or sketching something down, they want to see it. Now, some people are going to give their opinions on what you're recording down, not knowing that this is probably the first step in creation of an artistic piece. And people don't know what your process is or don't know who you are. are going to give their response, which, it could be useful, but most times it's not asked for at this stage because it's at that beginning stage. Also, if people feel they're being recorded in whatever discipline you practice, they're either going to start acting, like, oh, hey, he's writing something down about me. I need to be interesting. Or they're going to move away and you've just lost that moment that you're trying to capture. Now, I'm not saying be secretive. I'm saying keep it on the down low because you could be ruining the perfect opportunity to create your art, especially, where you're going. Now, obviously, this probably isn't a big concern if you're out in the nature and all that kind of stuff. But keep it a little bit on the down low. Lastly, on this point, if you keep it unobtrusive, you may be actually more open to what's happening around you and gain further inspiration. Now, when I started writing my poetry, I took my notebook to the bar and I was missing out on what was happening around me because I was so stuck in my head writing this poem. People that may have approached me didn't want to seem rude, so they stopped short and moved away. That conversation that could have happened is now lost forever because I just wanted to focus on a piece that I was writing and I wasn't living life. What I should have done is have my notebook out, jot down some, of the things that I saw or heard around me and put it down and make eye contact with people around me and give them the opportunity to approach me and strike up a conversation. Or, I should have started that conversation if I noticed somebody noticing me. Hey, you live and you learn. The takeaway is keep it light, keep it cheap, keep it unobtrusive. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, well, Tim, why are we talking about this here today? Well, how many times have you seen something, experienced something out in nature or, at a bar or a coffee shop and thought, damn, I should have written that down? I know it's happened to me on more than one occurrence this week. These great ideas that we have amount to nothing without actioning on them and seeing what happens when we do action on them. See what you can create out of them. This is why you should have the tools easily accessible and ready to go at a moment's notice. I want to help you not have that regret. And I know this seems really simple, but even the simplest things can be the hardest things to practice. And I believe we live in a wonderful world that's full of inspiration all around us. And if we took the time to sit still and experience it, and then record our feelings and then share them with others, then maybe, just maybe, we'll feel just a little less alone on our journeys. Tell you what, pause this podcast right now, go outside, and take a walk around the block or your yard. Stop and look and listen. Try to go into a kind of a meditative state and just let life happen around you. Pick one thing to describe in whatever discipline you practice and notice everything about it, how it sounds, how does it taste, how does it feel, what it makes you feel like, what's the temperature, what's the humidity. Utilize all the senses that you have available to you and then start to work on describing that to others. This is a great way to overcome writer's block, which, if you've heard me before, I don't believe in that concept at all. The next thing I'd want you to do is to reach out to me and let me know what you chose to do and how you chose to express it. Or, you can reach out to somebody trust, and express it to them. I don't bite, but I know that, I can be intimidating. It can be intimidating, and I can be intimidating, to tell someone you don't know about an experience like this. I'm going to let you off the hook this time. Now, once you've done all of that, I'm sure once you've done all that, I'm sure you will start up a conversation with that person or with me. And then you can see if they had a similar experience. And that just might give you some ideas on things that you might have missed. And give it a shot. You never know. If you give it a shot, you're never going to have to worry about writer's block again. Come back after that's done and finish the podcast. I'll wait. I promise. All right. To close out this episode, If you got something out of this episode, please share it with a friend. It may be just what they need to hear. If you have any questions about the show, please feel free to reach out to me and tell me what you're doing in your neck of the woods. You can email me, Timothy at createartpodcast.com. And if you'd like to be on the show, go ahead and reach out. I would love to feature your work here. Now, if you like this particular podcast, then you can go ahead and check out my other podcast, Find a Podcast About. It helps you find your next binge worthy podcast and outsmart the algorithm. You can find that one at findapodcastabout.xyz. Now, I also run another podcast called Clearly Obtuse, where I explore what an avant garde podcast would sound like. You can find that one at clearlyobtuse.com. So go out there, be influenced by your favorite artist, tame that inner critic, and create more than you consume. And by the way, go out there and create some art for somebody you love, yourself. Until next time.